Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Usually I post on Thursdays, but I was having a really hard time this week with like the election and everything. Yeah, I've basically been hiding in my house, I guess. Somewhat because I spend a lot of time on social media, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But I've been spending a lot of time on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and just like talking to friends. And obviously when you are on social media, like all these news stories pop up and all these opinion pieces pop up, and it all becomes a little overwhelming, especially when something that you view as negative has happened. I've just been kind of dealing with, I guess, what is now the aftermath of Trump being elected president, and what that means for me as not only a woman but also a woman of color. It's been hard. I'm lucky enough to live in a city that usually votes blue. They usually vote Democrat. But usually the rest of Illinois is red. And I feel like when you live in a city, it's really easy to kind of forget what it's like for people who don't live in a city. Or it's kind of easy to just like not think about it at all. You just don't think about what it's like living out in the middle of nowhere and like living, I guess, like in a suburb or in a farm or just like in a small town in the middle of nowhere. So it's easy for people who live in cities to, I guess, be surprised that not everybody is on the same page as you. Because I feel like living in a city, you do kind of still run into people who like don't have the same beliefs as you. You could be a feminist who is all-inclusive, and you could believe in LGBTQ rights, and you can believe that no human being is illegal, and you can believe all of these things, like all of these things that you think are right. And you know, of course you're going to run into people who like don't agree with you in the city. But I feel like, in my opinion, what happened, or what is happening, I guess, is that it's really, social media has made it really easy to kind of stay in your bubble. You know, you are able to pick your friends a little bit better, I guess. Like, before the internet, and before people like started really sharing like all of their thoughts online, you didn't know, like, you could be friends with somebody who was like secretly really, really like anti-black or like anti-Latinx, and as long as they never said it to your face, or like said it to anybody else's face, you know, you'd never know that this was like maybe your best friend, maybe your grandma, you know. And I think like now, in the time that we are now with Facebook and Tumblr and everything, like, people share a lot more. They share a lot more intimate thoughts, and I feel like because people are more open to sharing their intimate thoughts on Facebook, that it's easy for people to kind of just like sort through their friends and like decide, I'm not going to be friends with you because you're, you know, whatever. And I feel like when you kind of put yourself in a position where you're not really arguing with anybody, or you're not debating with anybody, and instead you're just like unfriending everybody, I don't know, you kind of put yourself in a bubble and you don't think about anybody outside of your group, and so it's easy to be shocked and surprised when you realize that half the country, or more than half the country, don't share the same morals as you do, I guess. But the biggest struggle I'm having, and the main reason I wanted to make this video, even though it's late, sorry, my dog's barking, is that my personal biggest struggle with all of this is that I do have depersonalization, and I have depression and anxiety, especially social anxiety. So I feel like while I normally have a really hard time trying to like grasp the world and like understand what's actually happening in the world, and understanding how that's actually impacting me and my friends and all of my loved ones, I'm having a really hard time with this. Dealing with things while you have depersonalization is weird, because it's like one part of your brain is like, I get it, and I know that like Trump has said all of these like really negative things. He's said a lot of racist things. He has said bad things about Muslim people and about Mexican people, and about black people, and you know, he is not afraid to tear families apart by deporting millions of people, and he doesn't understand how putting a ban on Muslims and calling Muslims terrorists negatively affects them, and he doesn't understand how the words that he uses impacts the youth. Like there's middle schoolers that are bullying other middle schoolers. Like, these kids are young, and they are already being filled with so much hate towards anybody who looks differently than them, or speaks differently than them, or are from different places. Like, he doesn't understand how like the words that he uses fills people with hate, and not only fills them with hate, but encourages them to display that hate. And so part of me, like one half of my brain knows all of this about him, and knows that probably nothing good is going to come from this. But the other half of my brain that like is trying to sort through all of this through a depersonalization lens, and through a depression lens, and through an anxiety lens, is kind of just shutting down and kind of like doesn't care. And what I'm afraid of is that part of my brain is gonna win out, and I'm not gonna care at all for like the next 4 years, and that's not what I want. But this is just kind of like what I'm dealing with personally. This is why I didn't make a video on Thursday, which I don't really know if anybody cares. But it's been bugging me that I didn't put out a video, so I'm doing it now. The other thing that I want to talk about, and the other thing that I want to say, is that it's really, really easy to feel guilty for not participating in protests, and not being more vocal on social media, and not being ready to like immediately jump into action. It's really easy for people, not purposely, but it's really easy for other people to kind of pressure you into going out and doing these things when you're not ready to. And it's really, really important that you know with yourself that you're ready to do this. And I'm mostly talking to other people with depression and anxiety and, you know, seasonal depression. depersonalization, like anything like that. Like it's really hard, it's really easy for other people to kind of make you feel guilty, even though they don't mean to. But you see all of your friends, or like all of these people, or like your entire city, it feels like, is out there protesting, and they're out there standing up for what they believe, and like letting out all of this anger and letting out all this stress and having these bonding moments. And you're not there because you might not be ready. Maybe you did go out and protest. That's fucking awesome. But maybe you're not ready for that, and that's okay. Like, don't pressure yourself or be mad at yourself or be upset with yourself because you're not ready to go out there yet, because you're not ready to like be surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. All of these protests that I've seen on TV have been really, really big. They've been like thousands of people, and they've been like touching and really close and really angry, and that anger is valid. Like, they should be angry, but it's okay. Like, it's okay if you're not ready to go out there yet. It's okay if you need to take that time to like get your mind set and like, you know, come to terms with everything. Everybody takes news differently, and everybody deals with stressful situations differently. This is like a really serious thing. Like, some families, especially families of color, and especially Latinx families, you know, a lot of these families are like facing being torn apart and facing deportation. Like, that shit's serious. And like people who are Muslim, like, they have to, especially Muslim women who wear headscarves and like, you know, cover their hair, and women who wear hijabis and burqas, and I forgot what the other one's called, I'm sorry, but just anything that like you have to wear on your head. Like, for them, this is scary because people are going around pulling their scarves off their heads. People are going around telling Asian Americans to go back to China. They don't even care if you're from China. They're just telling you to get out of there. And it's really hard being a person of color, seeing all of this stuff like in front of you and on your social media, and maybe it has happened to you. And it's even harder when you're a person of color and this is happening to you and you're scared and you're already dealing with depression, and you're already dealing with anxiety, and you're already dealing with depersonalization, and maybe you already have insomnia, like you can't sleep, and all of this is just getting worse and worse and worse, and you're scared. And it's okay. It's okay to not be ready to go out and protest yet. It's okay to not be able to voice your opinion yet, to show your anger yet. It's okay to self-care. It's okay to take the time to yourself and make sure that you're okay. Because it's not gonna be good for you if you're not ready to, like, when you go to protests and when you go out to like these rallies and stuff, you're not only dealing with your anger, you're surrounded by anger, and you're surrounded by sadness, especially in this situation. Like, a lot of people are out there, and a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are sad, and a lot of people are out there crying and hugging, and maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe you have really bad social anxiety and you can't be surrounded by that. My main point of all of this, honestly, is just one, to make sure that you're self-caring, especially if you are afraid. If you're afraid to go outside, if you're a woman and you're afraid of all of your rights being stripped away from you, if you're a person of color and you are afraid that your family's going to get torn apart, if you're afraid of being attacked, like anything, like, please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Please make sure that you are self-caring. Take the time to be by yourself for a little bit every day and just like breathe. And make sure that you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure that you're eating. Make sure that you are keeping in touch with people. Like, reach out to your family. Reach out to your friends. Make sure that everybody knows that you're okay. Or if you're hurting, make sure that people know that you're hurting. Because right now is one of those times where people come up to you and they say, hey, how are you? and they actually mean, hey, how are you doing? Like, are you okay? I've never experienced that before. Hey, how are you has always been, just another way of saying, hey, what's up? Or like, hey, just a greeting, whatever, and just keep going. Like, no one ever actually would care if you respond. Like, you're expected to say, yeah, I'm fine. But I feel like in this moment right now, in this time that we're in, when people come up to you and they say, hey, how are you? They're actually asking how you are. So take that opportunity to be honest. Let people know that you're hurting, or let people know that you're stressed, or you're tired, or, you need help with something. Make sure that if you are ready to start protesting and you are ready to go out there and start taking action, if you're going to go out and protest, make sure you're wearing comfortable shoes. Make sure that you are dressing appropriately for the weather. If at all possible, make sure that you always have a Sharpie. Make sure that on your arm you've written down the phone number of the person that you can call if you get arrested. That's going to be able to come pick you up. In Chicago, usually at our rallies, they like in the middle of the rally or like before the rally starts, they'll yell out the numbers of like lawyers in the city that have offered their services to help anybody that's been arrested. Make sure that you write down that number on your arm. If at all possible, make sure that you have some milk. Just like maybe like a little carton of milk. If worse comes to worse and they start tear gassing the crowd, and you get like tear gas in your eyes, that's what you pour in your eyes. You pour milk in your eyes to help the stinging stop. If they did throw out tear gas into the crowd and you get home, make sure that you take off all your clothes, you put them in a garbage bag to for when you're ready to decontaminate them. When you shower, make sure that you shower with cold water so that your pores don't open up and it doesn't sting more while you're showering. And most importantly, just be safe, be careful. Make sure that when you go and protest, you know why you're going to protest. Make sure that you're there for the right reasons and that you're not just following the crowd. Make sure that you have your own reasons. Make sure that you're there for you, for your friends, for your family. And let your anger be heard. Protests, especially right now, are a really good way of de-stressing and like letting all that anger out. It's also a good way to reach out to your neighbors. And, like the person standing next to you, like you need a hug, just let them know you need a hug. I'm sure they're more than happy to like be there to emotionally support you. Just be safe. Make sure you're self-caring. Do not feel guilty for not being ready to go out and protest or go out and, go to rallies or anything like that. Like if people add you to a Facebook group and, they're talking about action and like what they want to do and ways to help and all this stuff, and you're not ready to do that because you're still trying to get everything settled into your mind, that's fine too. Leave the group. Let them know like, hey, I'm not ready right now. I'm just going to hang out. And when I'm ready, I'll jump in and start participating. Just little things like that. But please take care of yourselves. Look out for each other, especially people of color. Like right now, we really, really need to stick together. And make sure that you're listening. So yeah, so that's basically it. This is probably like the shortest video I've ever made so far. But I just needed to get this video out and kind of let you guys know why I haven't been filming. I do have some videos queued up, so more videos will be coming out, but I just, like I said, like I needed to take the time to kind of like let everything sink in and try to accept everything through a depersonalization lens and through a depression lens. It's starting to all kind of come together. So yeah, just make sure that you guys are taking care of each other, take care of yourself, and let your loved ones know that you love them. See you guys later. Bye.